Hey and welcome, Hammeh here. In this video, as always, a quick roundup of some Overwatch news from the last week that may have slipped under your radar. Some gameplay changes incoming, Mercies are no longer rezzing in spawn on the PTR, I discuss what that can and can't mean as well as the general state of Mercy right now. Overwatch League is getting a little bit closer with the news that eSports scouting is incoming. A little bit of news on that. In the spirit of eSports, and whether you've watched it or not, I give you a guide to a few cool matches on this week and competitions that you should try out whether you're a big eSports fan or have never watched competitive Overwatch before. And last but not least, Jinx have announced some really cool Ultimate hoodies, a few details on those. I'm really tempted for that Diva one. Timecode's in the description below to skip. As a quick reminder, you may have missed my Bastion new lore, interactions and voice lines vid, so please do check it out if you have the time. The link is here at the end of the video and in the description. More Overwatch lore videos coming in the next few days. I know it's been quite a news heavy last couple of videos, but we're going to be right back into the lore of Overwatch and perhaps some other games soon as well. Okay, on with the news. A bunch of changes have gone through Overwatch in the last few days. For you arcade fans, 1v1 is gone and the 6v6 lockout elimination is back, a very popular mode and a load of fun to see what teams can do in small areas with specific heroes. Arisa's supercharger bug has been fixed. She was charging ultimate while her supercharger was deployed, in case you wonder why Arisa has been so popular the last few weeks. Now, a change that's just hit the PTR as of last night is that Mercy is not rezzing in spawns anymore. This really only affects a couple of maps. Temple of Anubis Point B is one very notable one, but more people probably will feel this on Gibraltar on the last point of defence. It seems that Mercy can't res in a few enemy can't get into but can shoot into areas. Now, in places where the distance between the spawn and the point B for the res is very, very small, this could in some situations give Mercy almost a risk-free res to make sure that she can lift 3 or 4 people up. Anubis Point B, for example, I have rezzed from within the spawn door where people really haven't been able to get me. Now, although this is a niche change, there's been a lot of backlash against Mercy as a main character in comp and in general at the moment. Whether the feeling that some people in the community have about SR gaining as Mercy right now has any data proof or not, we don't know. Maybe I'll share my feelings on SR, MMR system, and the one-tricking of heroes another day. Long story short, she's a tough one to balance. She's got the most powerful ability in the game in many ways, and perhaps a lower skill floor and skill ceiling difference. Now, by that, I mean you can pick up Mercy perhaps more easily, but then cap out with what you can do with her a bit more easily than with other heroes. Given that most of her skill set in terms of her mobility and awareness for rezzing doesn't transfer very well if you're trying to play other heroes, it does seem at the moment that a bunch of Mercy maining characters are somehow able to ladder a bit more effectively in terms of gaining competitive rank with a less than 50% win rate. So something feels a little bit off and people are noticing it. Whether that's actually truth or not, we'll have to find out in stats or see if Blizzard actually say anything. Now, as for the one-tricking piece, one-trick pony OTP as some people say, I don't think Mercy is too different in some ways to other characters apart from that transferable of skills piece. If I'm a one-trick soldier, I'm probably going to be able to do stuff with McCree. If I one-trick Widow even, I'm probably going to be reasonable with Ana because some of the skill set will transfer over. However, Mercy doesn't have this transference to other heroes so much. If someone who's a Mercy main can't play a Mercy and they haven't put time into other heroes, sometimes this can cause challenges when people compose teams in competitive. So not sure on fact versus reality there, but that's a little sum up of how people feel right now. What do you feel? Are you a Mercy main who thinks that this is all a bit unfair? Do you play with a bunch of Mercies in competitive, and are you finding any of these problems? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, we don't have any conclusive proof either way yet. This is very much a feeling rather than something that's based in evidence right now. On to eSports and a bit of news on the Overwatch League. Now, it's been a little bit quiet for a while, but the Overwatch League Commissioner, Nate Nanza, put out an announcement yesterday saying that emails have gone out to a select group of top players to pull together an Overwatch scouting report. This will go to teams and potential franchises interested in putting teams or units for the Overwatch League together. Now, people who've got these emails were chosen based on the criteria of a top 500 finish in comp play based on skill rating in Overwatch Seasons 3 or 4 for any region, a playoff finish in big high caliber tournaments such as Apex Season 2, I'll talk about in a bit, Premier Series in spring, or going to the Pacific Championship. And finally, other distinguishing qualifications indicative of top talent, including but not limited to membership on an established professional Overwatch team. So if you're not into esports or haven't heard much about the Overwatch League, this is the basic meaning of this. This is not anything showing that the Overwatch League is just around the corner. But what it is doing is Blizzard, as they have been doing over the past few months, trying to prove out and show to people that they're trying to build an Overwatch competitive ecosystem from grassroots level all the way to professional play. Recently we've seen the Overwatch Open division announced for people who are in Masters or above to come together and play almost in a combine style to perhaps get scouted in pickup tournaments. We then have had the Overwatch Contenders event, which I'll talk about in a bit, which is bringing together established teams as well as those who can put a good team together to compete in a knockout format. As the Overwatch League hopefully comes a little bit closer, this list of players that Blizzard is putting together is probably going to be no massive surprise and will be very obvious. There won't be too much unknown about it to people who already play high-level competitive or in eSports or amateur Overwatch competitive competition. However, what it will do is hopefully reassure the competitive high-level player base that they are being considered and kept in mind when it comes to the formation of Overwatch League teams. It also shows another step for people who are perhaps just getting into Overwatch or would like to try and compete in future to see the ladder as to how they can climb and how they can push their ability and where they can go. So it's a small bit of news in itself, but in the terms of wider Overwatch eSports, I think it helps fit into this model that Blizzard are trying to put together, which I'm personally very excited to see how it works. Now, a quick pick now on eSports and a viewer guide for this week. Now I might drop this into my weekly news summaries or so. If you don't watch competitive Overwatch or if you've not watched Overwatch professional eSports being played, I really recommend, whether you play comp or not, whether you just play for fun or not, you try it out. It's really cool, it supports the game, it's really exciting to watch, and regardless of how you play, whether you play quick play or competitive or arcade, it's great to see awesome players and learn from them, as well as admire their ability. So here's a couple of bits that you can watch this week. Now on Friday there's a game in Apex Season 3, one of the semi-finals. There's a Korean tournament, some Western teams have been involved, Envious for example are in the other semi-final. I'd probably say this is the most high profile competition, standard or arguably league in Overwatch right now. This game is going to see Africa Freaks Blue take on Lunatic High. Now, if you've never heard of these teams, here's a very quick summary. Africa Freaks Blue are undefeated this season so far, ridiculously consistent as a team. They're coming up against Lunatic High, who are winners of the last season of Apex Season 2. They have a fair few well-known players and a few players from the winning South Korean World Cup team from BlizzCon 2016. Players to keep out for, well, I'm a Lunatic High fan, so here's my bias. Check out Miro. You may have heard me mention his Winston play earlier. What that guy can do on that hero is insane. And then also have a look at Ryu Jahong. He does some really great support play. He's an amazing Ana that I love to watch and try and learn from. And his Zenyatta is really strong in the professional meta right now. His orbs and ability to shell out some decent poking damage as well as his healing abilities go well with a lot of current team compositions. So I'd really encourage you to tune in and check this out. Now the game's Friday, June 30th. It is 6 AM New York Eastern time. That's 3 AM for Pacific if you're on the West Coast. So this event probably is a bit more friendly if you want to watch live in the UK and east of that. It's 11 AM UK, high noon if you're Central Europe, and evening for China, Australia and New Zealand. Adjust your time zone accordingly. You can check it out on Twitch. I believe the channel is OGN Global. Another event that might be better time zone for other people in the world is Overwatch Contenders, and as I mentioned, this is where teams could come together for a potential $50,000 prize pool per region. Now it's EU and NA, it's officially Overwatch supported. It's on this Saturday and Sunday. The EU event is July the 1st, starting from around about 4 PM UK, adjust your time zone accordingly, and for North America it's on Sunday, July the 2nd. Now that starts at 8 PM UK, that's 12 noon West Coast America, I think 5 PM East Coast for New York, so obviously the American event very friendly for US viewing. You can check out established teams going up against some teams that have fought their way through open qualifiers, so it's pretty exciting to watch. You'll find some new talents there as well. Last but not least, well, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you might know that I love my gaming stuff, Overwatch collectibles, clothes and otherwise. Now Jinx have just announced and released their Ultimate Collection. It's available for pre-order, I believe, today. There's this really sweet Diva hoodie that I'm so tempted for, as well as Lucio, Genji, Roadhog, Zarya, Reinhardt and Widowmaker in their first wave. More are going to be coming in 2018. Now this isn't a product promotion, I'm not paid anything for this, I just think these are really cool. So if you like these two, do check them out over at jinx.com. Remember, of course, shipping and import costs to your country if outside the USA may well apply. Which one would you be getting? Thanks very much for tuning into this Overwatch News Roundup. Do throw a like or a sub if you enjoyed, it really helps me out. And do check out my latest Bastion interactions, lore and voice lines vid below. If you're new to the channel, I do a whole bunch on Overwatch lore, interactions and voice lines, as well as a few news bits here and there. Do check out all of my different video types in the playlists below. Overwatch skin lore and map lore will be returning in the next few days, as well as potentially a few more experimental things on Blizzard lore a little bit wider outside of Overwatch. Do let me know your thoughts. Cheers for tuning in. I've been Hammeh.